सरस्वती महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 32, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities, text number 22. Please repeat after me. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena. Bhajasva parameshtinam. Bhajasva parameshtinam. Tadgunashrayaya bhaktya. Tadgunashrayaya bhaktya. Bhajaniya padambujam. Bhajasva parameshtinam. Tadgunashrayaya bhaktya. Bhajaniya padambujam. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena. Okay. Word for word. Tasmat, therefore. Tvam, you. Devahuti. Sarva bhavena, with loving ecstasy. Bhajasva, worship. Parameshtinam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tatguna, the qualities of the Lord. Ashrayaya, connected with. Bhaktya, by devotional service. Bhajaniya, worshipable. Pada Ambuja, whose lotus feet. Translation and Prabhupada by His Divine Grace, Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear mother, I therefore advise that you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for His lotus feet are worth worshipping. Accept this with all devotion and love, for thus you can be situated in transcendental devotional service. Purport. The word Parameshtinam is sometimes used in connection with Brahma. Parameshti means the Supreme Person. As Brahma is the Supreme Person within this universe, Krishna is the Supreme Personality in the spiritual world. Lord Kapila Dev advises his mother that she should take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, because it is worthwhile. Taking shelter of demigods, even those in the higher positions like Brahma and Shiva, is not advised herein. One should take shelter of the Supreme Godhead. Sarva Bhavena means in all loving ecstasy. Bhava is the preliminary stage of elevation before the attainment of pure love of Godhead. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Buddha Bhava Samanditaha. One who has attained the stage of Bhava can accept the lotus feet of Lord Krishna as worshipable. This is also advised here by Lord Kapila to his mother. Also significant in this verse is the phrase Tad Gunashrayaya Bhaktya. This means that discharging devotional service unto Krishna is transcendental. It is not material activity. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Those who engage in devotional service are accepted to be situated in the spiritual kingdom. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. They at once become situated in the transcendental kingdom. Devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is the only means for attaining the highest perfection of life for the human being. This is recommended herein by Lord Kapila to his mother. Bhakti is therefore nirguna, free from all tinges of material qualities. Although the discharge of devotional service appears to be like material activities, it is never saguna or contaminated by material qualities. Tad gunashrayaya means that Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities are so sublime that there is no need to divert one's attention to any other activities. His behavior with the devotees is so exalted that a devotee need not try to divert his attention to any other worship. It is said that the demoniac Putana came to kill Krishna by poisoning him, but because Krishna was pleased to suck her breast, she was given the same position as his mother. Devotees pray, therefore, that if a demon who wanted to kill Krishna gets such an exalted position, why should they go to anyone other than Krishna for their worshipful attachment? There are two kinds of religious activities, one for material advancement and the other for spiritual advancement. By taking shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna, one is endowed with both kinds of prosperity, material and spiritual. Why then should one go to any demigod? Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadam Hriyam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Taptakanshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. So here Srila Prabhupada starts out with his purport by saying that the word Parameshwanam is sometimes used in connection with Brahma as well as the Supreme Person. So Parameshti refers to like a Supreme Controller. But everything is relative in the sense that in this mature world, if you consider a small town, then the mayor may be the Supreme Person there. If you consider a country, then the Prime Minister is the Supreme Person there. Thousands of years ago, we had Yudhishthira Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, who basically ruled the entire world, not just a country. So in terms of a globe, there is a Supreme Controller as well. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that when we consider the entire material world, a single universe, then Lord Brahma is the Parameshti there. But if we consider the entire manifestation, Ekapad Vibhuti and Tripad Vibhuti, the spiritual and the material world, then Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality in the entire creation. So if we worship Lord Brahma, then by His blessings, we can get elevated. The soul can get elevated to Satyaloka. We can go to the highest planetary system within this mature world. But if we worship Krishna, then we can go to the highest planetary system in the spiritual world. So it's all relative there. So here, for the last 6 verses actually, Lord Kapila has been talking about people who are too addicted to sense enjoyment. Now look at this. This is text 16. This is a translation for text 16 in this chapter. Persons who are too addicted to this mature world execute their prescribed duties very nicely, with great faith. They perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to the fruit of results. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Sahayagya prajashishva puravacha prajapati anena prasavishyatvam eshvas trishna kamaduk. Basically he says that at the start of creation, God sent forth generations of men, demigods, animals, not animals, but men and demigods, and told them that may you be happy by performance of sacrifice. Because by you performing sacrifice, yagya, not only will your material necessity be fulfilled, but also you will be spiritually elevated. You will be purified by performing your material necessities. So the Vedic conception of sense enjoyment involves austerity. Just take a look at Karma Kanda. In Karma Kanda, if you want sense enjoyment, if you want to become a great ruler of the world, if you want to rise to the higher planetary systems, the heavenly planets, you have to perform some sort of austerity. You have to conduct a big yajna. You have to feed the brahmanas. You have to be a believer in God. This is the Vedic conception of sense enjoyment. But consider sense enjoyment these days. People want to take out the austerity. And they just want to enjoy their senses. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. These are the 4 Purusharthas. But they're based on Dharma. So if you want Kama, if you want to enjoy, you have to do so based on religious principles. Based on religious principles, you do economic development. The economic development becomes purified. Then you engage in sense enjoyment. And if you do it based on Dharma, then towards the end of your lifetime, through that purification, through the association of wise and saintly people in the Varnashram system like Brahmanas and Sadhus, by their association, you will naturally start to get detached and think about moksha. But in today's society, we want to kick away dharma and we want to kick away moksha. So all we are left with is economic development and sense enjoyment. The success of a country is based on capitalism. The success of a country is based on its GDP, its economic development. And actually, why are they doing that? To enjoy their senses. And it's a never-ending cycle. Sense enjoyment. As Krishna says in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that lust, the desire to enjoy your senses separately from Krishna, is like an ever-growing wildfire. And the more you satisfy your senses, the more you say yes to your mind. Your mind says something, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And the more you go along with your mind, without using your intelligence to ratify its pushings, its urges, the more you get entangled in material existence. That's why we need to develop a stronger intelligence through Shastra, through discussions with other devotees. In the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, I was reading some days ago, Srila Prabhupada was saying that the original sinful will of the conditioned soul is that the conditioned soul wants to try to be Krishna. The conditioned soul wants to be the enjoyer of all that he surveys. Krishna's subsequent will is that he creates this mature world. So it's not Krishna's original will to create this mature world. It's a reaction to the will of the conditioned soul to try to imitate him. So then Krishna says, okay, my dear child, you want to enjoy separately from me? Then Krishna creates the mature world for that purpose. And then Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a mirror and the moon. If a little baby is crying, if a little child is crying because the child wants the moon, then what does the mother do? The mother gets a mirror so that the moon is reflecting on the mirror and gives the mirror to the child. And the child holds the mirror, sees the moon reflecting on the mirror, and thinks, yes, I've got the moon now. But the child actually doesn't have the moon. It's an illusion. That reflection is an illusion. It actually has no substance. It's a shadow. So in the same way, just as the child becomes satisfied by that false reflection of the original moon, in the same way, the crying child of Krishna, the crying child of the Lord, is handed over to the mother of this mature world known as Maya. And Maya Devi is holding the mirror of the material energy, the material body. And reflected in that mirror of the material energy is enjoyment. You can just imagine. You're a conditioned soul, you have your material body, and you're in this material world, and you think you're enjoying. That's the reflection that you're seeing in the mirror that Maya is holding. And Srila Prabhupada says in one of the purports in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, when he's talking about the lust section towards the end of chapter 3, he says that it may be that when we are engaged in sense enjoyment, there is some feeling of happiness. But Srila Prabhupada says, actually that happiness is the ultimate enemy of the conditioned soul. A very powerful statement. And Srila Prabhupada doesn't say there's no happiness. There is happiness. It's in a reflection. You can see something. It's not the original happiness that you experience in the spiritual world, which is anandam buddhivardhanam. It is something, it's flickering. But Srila Prabhupada says that so-called, that happiness is the ultimate enemy of the conditioned soul. So then Srila Prabhupada goes on to say, in a subsequent purport, he says that in the mature world, the concept of I and mine is very prominent. He says, in lower species of life, like animal species, the concept of my or mine is more prominent. My family, I have to get food to maintain my body. But if you then go to the human species, who are a bit more intellectual, or at least they're supposed to be a bit more intellectual, then the concept of I becomes more prominent. It is I am all that is I. Human beings, those who are philosophical, those who are searching after the absolute truth, those who are spiritual seekers, they start to contemplate, who am I? What am I doing here? What is this situation? What is this material body that I am in? They start to question. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Srila Prabhupada says the actual real conception of the I is that I am an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, infinitesimal part and parcel of Krishna, and I am his eternal servant. Srila Prabhupada says if we have that knowledge is sufficient for us to embark on a spiritual journey, for us to deepen our Krishna consciousness. Some verses before, it was mentioned that these Vedic sense enjoyers are very much attached to performing their material duties. And the reference that Srila Prabhupada had given was in relation to sacrifices. They're very much attached to performing sacrifices and samskaras. So just some days back actually, I made a note that there's actually 16 different samskaras according to the Vedic system throughout one's lifetime. And these samskaras, if they're not done in a Krishna conscious way, then what do? They reinforce the concept of I and mine. So it's not that great. They're supposed to make us Krishna conscious. For example, the first one is known as Garbhadan Samskar. Garbhadan, Garbha means womb, and Dan means to gift. So literally it's when the husband and the wife, they conceive a child, and then they offer the womb to the Supreme Personality Godhead in sacrifice. That's what it literally means, Garbhadan Samskar. So they're offering the child who will come in that womb to the Supreme Personality Godhead. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita as well. He says that sex life, which is done in accordance to religious principles, Krishna says, I am that. So this is the first samskar which is done, Garbhadan samskar. The second samskar is called Pumsavana, securing the birth of the child. Pumsavana samskar is usually done on the 3rd month of pregnancy, before the fetus starts moving inside the womb. In this, the mother is given food and essential herbs to reduce the risks associated with the development of the child and during birth as well. Then comes Simantunayana, parting the hair. This is done on the 5th or 7th month of pregnancy. The husband parts the hair of the wife, and the relatives give food and gifts to the woman to keep her in a jolly mood. So based on what the mother eats, we read that previously we saw in the 3rd canto, when Kapila Dev was talking about the babe in the womb. He was saying that the babe in the womb is distressed because that's such a cramped position to be in the womb, surrounded by all sorts of bodily organs, and then the mother eats pungent and spicy foods, and that has an effect on the baby. So it's important to keep the mother happy, and it's important that the mother eats the proper diet. So the purpose of the Simantanayana samskar is that. Then comes childhood samskars, Jata karma, natal rites. This is the 4th samskar, Jata karma. The bonding of the father and baby after the birth. Because all that time during pregnancy, the baby has been inside the mother. So that first samskar of the baby seeing the father and being held by the father, that is known as Jat Karma. It's done after birth, and the father cuts the umbilical cord and touches the baby's lips with honey and ghee. I don't know what that represents, but that's a significant part of Jat Karma. And then comes, and we see, in Krishna book, if we read, we see how gorgeously the Brajabasis celebrate the Jat Karma ceremony of Lord Krishna. Nanda Maharaj, he held a massive festival, donated thousands upon thousands of cows, and it was mentioned that all the Brajabasis, they dressed up in very colorful clothing. The women came, they gave gifts to Nanda Yashoda, and the wealth of the Brajabasis was shown. What happened in that Jat Karma ceremony of Lord Krishna is that the Brajabasis started to throw yogurt and milk and ghee over each other. And Srila Prabhupada mentions this is the wealth of the Brajabasis. They're not wealth in terms of money, paper and plastic. They're wealthy in terms of cows. They're wealthy in terms of the grains. The mother and father is the cow and the bull. The mother supplies the milk, the cow supplies the milk, and the father, the bull, tills the land, gives the grains, which we need to sustain our bodies with energy. The 5th samskar is called Namkarana, name giving. Now sometimes, there's 16 samskars, but sometimes in our temple we also perform some of these samskars. It's not possible to perform all of these samskars today in this day and age, but the Namkarana is a very popular one. It's done on the 11th or the 12th day after the birth of the child, and the parents announce the formal name of the child to family members. So we know in the case of baby Nimai, does anyone know the 2 names that he was given during his Namkarana ceremony? I already said one of them. One was Nimai. He was called Nimai because he was born under a neem tree. So the women in Navadvip, they wanted to call him Nimai. And then the men, who did they want to call him? What did they want to call him? Vishwambar. So there was an argument. So then they called Nilambar Chakravarti. And he settled the argument. He said, okay, the informal name of Nimai will be, the informal name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be Nimai. You can call him that informally. But formally he'll be known as Vishwambar, one who sustains this whole world and everyone in this world. And then Lord Krishna's Namkarana ceremony was performed also. Who did that? Gargamuni, in the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj at night time. He not only named Lord Krishna, but he also named Krishna's brother, Balaram. Balaram got 3 names, Sankarshan, Rama, and Bala. And Lord Krishna was given the name Krishna because of his blackish complexion. And Gargamuni also told Nana Maharaj at that time that this is a very special baby. This baby has taken birth previously in different yugas, in different colors, white, red, golden, blackish. That was Krishna's Namkarana ceremony. The sixth samskar is called Nishkramana, the first outing in the sun. So usually the baby is kept in the house the whole time. So the first time the parents take the baby outside of the house and the sun falls on the baby. This is the sixth samskar. It's done on the 4th month. Parents usually take the baby to a nearby temple. This first outing builds the first mental impressions on the child's mind. So each one of these samskars, you can either do it in a ritualistic way or you can do it in a Krishna conscious way. For example, here, Nishkramana, the first outing of the child. If it's just ritualistic, then you'll just take the baby anywhere, to a park or the beach or something like that. But if you're Krishna conscious, then you'll take the baby to a temple. If you're doing the Annaprasana ceremony, then instead of giving the baby just ordinary rice, ordinary food, you'll give the baby Mahaprasad. Right? If it's a Namkarana ceremony, instead of giving the baby some karmi name, you'll give him the name of Krishna. Right? So all of these samskars can be done in a Krishna conscious way, and that's what they're supposed to be done as. So that it develops Krishna conscious impressions on the child's mind. Actually, the next one is Annaprasana, feeding of the grains. This is samskar 7, done on the 6th month, after the teeth start to appear. The baby starts to reduce dependence on breast milk. This ceremony is done for health, radiance, and the physical health of the child. So the other thing that's done in the Annaprasana ceremony, perhaps you might have seen it, sometimes they do it here in the temple or in devotees' houses. They'll put different items in front of the baby, right? They'll put money or they'll put books. And the books are supposed to represent education, knowledge. So what is the baby more interested in? Is the baby more interested in becoming a businessman, business-oriented, or more shastric, more brahminical? So they did that to baby Nimai as well. But they had Srimad Bhagavatam there. And baby Nimai crawled towards Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, that's the other way how you can Krishnaize that samskar. And then everyone in Navadvip was very happy because they realized that this baby will become a great preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam. Samskar 8 is called Chudakarna, arrangement of the tuft of hair at the back of the head. This is also known as mundam, so it's when they shave all of your head. I don't remember it. My parents told me that they took me to the Tirupati temple and I had my head shaved off as well. Couple of times actually. So that was the samskar that perhaps you've also had similar things done to you. 1 second. Samskar 9 is called Karna Veda, piercing the earlobes. Piercing the earlobes helps in developing intelligence and enhancing immunity against respiratory infections. It also develops intelligence. So these are all the samskars which are done before birth and during when the baby's when the soul is in the body of the baby. Then comes educational samskars. Samskar 10 is called Vidyarambha, learning the alphabet. This is done at 5 years. The child leaves for the Gurukul and seeks the blessings of Goddess Saraswati. This represents the formal start of the child's education. Upanayana. So again, Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, they went through all of these. I was just reading in a purport yesterday in Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that Lord Krishna, even though his body never deteriorates, his body never dies, it never gets old, still, in accordance with the laws of the mature world, he still acts in a mature way. He still goes through the Varnashram system. His body doesn't get old and die, but his body ages. Even though in the spiritual world his body is Navayogan. So Krishna still adheres to the rules of the mature world. So in the same way, although Krishna is knowledge personified, who can have more knowledge than Krishna? It's mentioned that if you know Krishna, you know everything. So what does Krishna have to study? Still he went to Sandipani Muni in his ashram in Ujjain, and he studied there with his brother Balaram. Upanayana, sacred third ceremony, Samskar 11, done for intellectual and mental development of child. Upanayana means to bring the child closer to the Guru and to God. Samskar 12, Praishartha, the first study of the Vedas. This is a specific samskar to mark the student's endeavor to master a certain Veda. So in the Gurukul, students were expected to actually learn and become good at a certain portion of the Vedas as well. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe it's 12th canto, if I'm not mistaken, there it's mentioned how Vyasadeva originally spoke the 4 Vedas, and then he taught each one of these Vedas to each one of his disciples, and then their disciples, those Vedas were again broken up, and then there was a person who was responsible to master that Veda, so the knowledge got broken up, and more people, they became specialized in a certain portion of the Veda. Samskar 13 is called Keshanta, cutting the beard. So this is when the child has now entered puberty. This symbolizes puberty and the transition into adulthood. The child recognizes the physical and psychological changes in their body. 14, Samvartana, which is the graduation ceremony. The word means returning from the Gurukul of the teacher. And part of this samskar is also that the student will offer the Guru a dakshin. So what was the dakshin that Lord Krishna offered to Sandipani Muni? Anyone remember? His child. He had lost his child actually. So Krishna, he went to the ocean. Apparently the ocean had abducted the child, so then Krishna went down, there was a demon. And Krishna killed that demon, that's how he got the Shankha, Panchajanya. He returned Sandipani Muni's child to him. This was the dakshin that he gave. There's only 2 more samskars. So all the 14 samskars we discussed so far, they are up to the age of graduation from the Gurukul. Roughly 20-25 years. Then for the rest of your life, the rest 75 years of your life, there's only 2 samskars. Samskar 15 is Vivaha, which is the marriage samskar. Taking on commitment, focused in the Krishna conscious Grihastha ashram. And the last samskar, Antyeshti, funeral. That's also a samskar. For the soul's passage to higher regions. These are the 16 samskars. But Srila Prabhupada, although it sounds really nice, I wish I had all these 16 samskars done for me. Why am I not special? But Prabhupada was saying that these 16 samskars simply, if they're not done in the Krishna consciousness, will simply reinforce your conception that I am this body. So in that sense, it's useless. The real samskar is to impress upon ourselves that I am part and parcel of Krishna, I am Krishna's eternal servant. This is the real samskar that we need to develop. And if we sufficiently develop this samskar, then as it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, that depending on your samskar, your prominent samskar at the time of death, that's the destination that your soul will go to. So the samskar we want is just Gopinath's face on our mind, always. You can do that. You can find a very nice and attractive picture of Krishna that you like very much and study it very carefully. Like I like the picture of Panchatattva, the one that we have in the restaurant outside. All 5 of them are standing there and all the paraphernalia for the aartis in front of them. And you can just study that picture. Just go into the details and study that picture. How they're standing, how the clothes are folded, how their hands are positioned, how their feet are positioned, and you can just memorize that picture. And the more you memorize and keep recalling that picture, the more stronger that samskar will go into your mind. And you can do the same in front of the deities, in front of Radha Gopinath as well. So if we develop these samskars, I was just reading Chaitanya Sharan Prabhu's book yesterday. You are not your mind, you are better. So just reading a passage from that book. And Chaitanya Prabhu was saying that, the intelligence is like a muscle. The more you train your intelligence, the stronger it will get. So the more you learn to say no to your mind using your intelligence, the stronger it will get, and the more easier it will become to say no to the mind. And vice versa. The more you give in, the weaker your muscle will get, the weaker the intelligence will get. So we have to keep training ourselves to reinforce these samskaras. And initially it's very difficult, because the mind wants to think of other things. But keep at it, pray to Krishna, and it will become easier and easier and easier. Otherwise, how is it that pure devotees of Krishna find it difficult to think of anything else other than Krishna? We find it difficult to think of Krishna. Our mind is going everywhere else except for Krishna. But for pure devotees of Krishna, they find it difficult to focus their mind on any other thing other than Krishna. So that is possible, but it requires training and practice. Some days back, we celebrated Bahulashtami. So generally they say that Bahulashtami is the appearance day of Radha Kund. But Sanatana Goswami, he actually explains that the Arishtasur, the bull demon, he actually came to Vrindavan in the month of Chaitra. I don't know when that is. I think it's like April, May or something like that. So basically the point is it's not in Kartik. So that's when he came, and then that the gopis accused Krishna that he was now unclean because he had touched a bull. And then, what is it? I can't remember the reason. They accused him that he was unclean. And then that's how Shamkun and Radhakun came after that pastime. So that was actually done in the month of Chaitra. The Sanatana Goswami says that's when it was done. So then, why do we celebrate Bahulashtami as the appearance day of Radhakun in the month of Kartik? So that was the question. So the article I was reading, it actually mentions that in Bahulashtami, that's when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually rediscovered Radhakun and Shamkun. So when Mahaprabhu was walking through Vrindavan, and he came to the site, and at that time it's mentioned Radhakun was just a small pond, it was just a small puddle. But then Mahaprabhu said, this is actually the location of the original Radhakun. So that is the day of Bahulashtami in Kartik, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually discovered Radhakund. So the story for Bahulashtami is that there was once a cow in Vrindavan, a mother cow. And she was grazing in one of the forests of Vrindavan, apparently by herself. And then in the forest came a tiger. And the tiger was about to pounce on this cow. And the cow said, wait, don't eat me just yet. Let me first go back home, because I have a little calf, a little baby there back home. So let me go back and feed my baby milk and tell my baby what's going to happen. So to prepare the baby of my departure, and then I'll come back, and then you can devour me. That's the deal that this cow made. The cow's name was Bahula, by the way. And then she goes back. And she goes back to her owner, who is a Brahmana, and she goes back to her calf, the baby. Now the Brahmana, he says that, look, I'm an old man. You're the mother, you are my mother. I'm an old man, let me go and let the tiger eat me, not you. And the calf, the baby of the cow, says, you're also my mother. I was just born 3-4 days ago. I just came into existence, so there's not much of a loss if I get devoured by the tiger. Anyway, I just came into this world a few days ago. If I come and go, no one will care. So both the Brahmana, who was the maintainer of the cow, said that you are my mother, and the calf said to the cow, you are my mother as well. And then the cow said, no, I made a promise to this tiger that I will go. So the cow was full of integrity. But then the Brahman and the calf were also saying, we will come along. So all three of them went back to the forest to meet the tiger. And the tiger started to lick his lips and smack his lips. He thought, yes, now I get to devour all three of them. Just at that moment, Krishna appears. And it's mentioned according to the story how it goes. Krishna tells the tiger that, look, I'll satisfy you, your hunger. Don't devour. If you listen to me, if you listen to my words, I'll give you great fame in this jungle, in this Vrindavan forest. So the tiger says, okay, fine. He listens to Krishna. And Krishna, seeing the sense of duty, the sense of integrity and truthfulness and dedication that this cow had, the cow was about to, she knew she was going to get devoured, and still she said no. The others were saying, I'll go instead of you, I'll go instead of you. But she said, no, I will go. So Krishna, seeing that, was very pleased with this cow, and he named the forest of Bahulavan after this cow, Bahula. So Bahulavan is a very important forest in Vrindavan because this is the forest where Radhakund is situated in Bahulavan. And also, Krishna promised the cow that in your next life, you'll get to marry me. So this cow actually became one of the wives of Krishna as well. And he named this special day as Bahulashtami after this cow. So when I read this story about the dedication of this cow and the integrity of this cow, I started to think of Srila Prabhupada because I'm also reading Leelamrit right now, again going through Leelamrit. And I was thinking that Srila Prabhupada was saying when he was preaching in America, in New York City, when he had just reached there and he was struggling by himself, he usually came just for 2 months. He told the ticket officer in the New York harbor that, look, I'm just going to be here maximum 2 months. My visa actually is only for 1 month. If things go well, okay, I'll extend it by 1 more month. 2 months, he said, I'll be back. He ended up staying. And he says to the initial people that he met in New York City that I'm bound, duty bound, to the words, to the instructions of my spiritual master. He told me to come to the West and to preach Krishna consciousness. So even though my body is old and falling apart, I've come here because I'm duty bound. And some people actually missed out on the opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada. And I was thinking, I don't want to be one of those people. Like, for example, when Srila Prabhupada was there, he was staying at the apartment of Dr. Mishra. Now, Dr. Mishra was actually a sannyasi. But Satsguru Das Goswami Maharaj, he says that Dr. Mishra was, although a sannyasi, very flamboyant. Some sannyasi used to wear pants, like saffron pants, nice colorful sweaters. He had nice slick hair. And he had a good following there in New York City. But the only thing was that Dr. Mishra was a Mayavadi. So even though 50, 60 people used to come to Dr. Mishra's gatherings, he never used to allow Srila Prabhupada to preach. He had given Srila Prabhupada a room in the building that he was staying, in Ananda Ashram. But he never allowed Srila Prabhupada to preach. What he would do is he would come and he would give a class, a 1-hour class, lecturing on Mayavad philosophy, and then he would introduce Srila Prabhupada as the singing Swami. Then Srila Prabhupada would come and he would do a Hare Krishna Kirtan. And at one point Srila Prabhupada was telling him, let me preach, let me say something. He avoided that. And at one point Srila Prabhupada asked Dr. Mishra, Dr. Mishra, would you like to be the Sanskrit editor for my books? This is just when Srila Prabhupada had only come with the first 3 volumes of first canto. And Dr. Mishra's reply to him was that, no, I don't want to, I'm too busy. And then Maharaj writes in his book that Dr. Mishra ended up regretting that after he saw the success of Srila Prabhupada. Another example, again in New York City, was Srila Prabhupada when he used to walk through New York City, right? He used to take the subway, used to take buses all over town, because what was Srila Prabhupada's disease? As Srila Prabhupada himself says, Srila Prabhupada says that his disease, his guru's disease is that they couldn't think small. They could only think big for Krishna. So even though he was penniless in New York City, just sleeping on a bare floor by himself in a small room, which is just 8 feet wide, Srila Prabhupada used to wander through New York City and think, which building can I purchase to build the first temple of Krishna in New York City. So finally, Srila Prabhupada located one building. It was a 2-story building with a mezzanine inside. And Srila Prabhupada thought to himself, yes, the bottom floor can be like a lecturing hall, and we can serve prasad to people there. The top floor, the mezzanine, can be a place where people can stay, and then the level above that can be like for like a temple where we can install a deity of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada started thinking like that. So he didn't have any money, so he enlisted the help. He tried to reach out to one very famous businessman in India. I think his name is Parampad Singhania. He was very favorable actually. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to him, Parampad Singhania, and he said, look, please donate, certain sum of money so that you can have your name against building the first temple of Krishna in the West, in New York City. And when he heard Srila Prabhupada's idea, all Srila Prabhupada wanted to do is he wanted to renovate that building and put a very beautiful dome on top of that building. Right? A nice arch and a nice dome. But Parampad Singhania's demand to Srila Prabhupada was that, look, I don't want you to renovate an existing building and just put a dome on top. If I'm going to give my money towards building a temple for Krishna in New York, then I want you to build a temple from scratch. I don't mind if it's not a very big temple, a very grand temple, but it should have the proper architecture, traditional architecture, and it should be a completely new building. And Srila Prabhupada said, it's not possible for me. I'm a very old man. I'm over 70 years old. I don't have anyone to help me manage such a project. Doing that would cost even more money, because he was not going to fund the entire thing. He was going to give a certain sum for it. And then Srila Prabhupada writes a letter back to him, to Parampad Singhania, says that, look, you're a Dwarka Wala, and I'm a Vrindavan Wala. In Vrindavan, we like to worship Krishna very simply. That's why I am satisfied just renovating this temple and just putting a dome on top of this temple. But you're a Dwarkawala. You like to worship Krishna in great opulence. That's why you want to build this very grand and opulent temple for Krishna. But I'm here on the ground. I'm doing the work. I don't have any help. And when Srila Prabhupada told him about the practicalities of this project, what was Parampad Singhania's reply? I don't want to help you. If you're not going to build a temple how I want it built, I'm not going to help you. And Srila Prabhupada tried 2-3 times, again, trying to reach out to him. Finally, Parampad Singhania stopped replying directly to Srila Prabhupada, and he got his secretary to reply back, writing a letter saying that he's not interested anymore. Example 3 is Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers themselves. How many times did Srila Prabhupada try to cohesively come together as the Gaudiya Math and to spread Krishna consciousness in the West? He reached out so many times. He wrote letters to his senior sannyasi godbrothers asking him for help, to send funding, to send men, to send money, to spread Krishna consciousness in the West. And they also didn't help as well. So my realization from this was that seeing Srila Prabhupada's dedication to the words of his spiritual master, seeing Srila Prabhupada's dedication to spreading Krishna consciousness, seeing Srila Prabhupada's conviction, just like the cow, seeing Srila Prabhupada's conviction, and he's struggling for years and years and years, not just in New York City, but even in India, in his 50s and his 60s. Lord Krishna wanted to give the credit exclusively to Srila Prabhupada. All these people could have come and helped Srila Prabhupada, but they didn't. Lord Krishna wanted to reserve that credit just for Krishna. So that's Krishna's reciprocation if we also follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada as well. I just finished the class today by telling one quick story. This was told by, just in terms of Krishna's reciprocation, just comes to my mind. This is a story of our own Jagannath Baladev Subhadra in the altar. And this story was told by one of the head pujaris of this temple many years back, I think maybe more than 10 years back. So, as we know, we perform Ratha Yatra. At that time, we used to perform 3 Ratha Yatras. We used to have a big Ratha Yatra in the city as well. and used to finish in Darling Harbour. So, I don't know where it happened, whether it was in Parramatta or Liverpool or in the city, but we took our Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Maharani, and we took them on the palanquin, and Rath Yatra finished. It was very ecstatic. Devotees were dancing, chanting, loud kirtan, and finally they were set in the park in their pandal, and then the pujaris did the arati. They were offered bhoga. Again, devotees did kirtan, and then the little kids in our congregation, they actually did a performance, a dance performance, for the pleasure of our Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. And for some reason, during this dance performance, for some reason, I don't know why, but we had to take Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra back to the temple. So the pujari of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, who was there attending Rath Yatra, he tried to pick up Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra while they were watching this performance of these little kids. And he couldn't lift them. And he tried and he tried and he tried, and he couldn't lift them. He got down with all his strength, he tried to pick them up, and he couldn't lift them. This is a true story. And then he waited until the performance was finished, and then very easily he picked them up again. Put them back in their car, and then we drove them back to the temple actually. So I just thought of that's a really amazing story about Krishna's reciprocation. So that's possible if we also show dedication, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. We'll finish here. Any quick questions, comments? Yes, sir. I don't know, but it's definitely, it's one commentary given by Sriman Nrsimha Pr. Maybe I can research and tell you which book it's in. But the article I was reading, it said that Sriman Nrsimha Pr. in one tika, he writes this commentary. So I don't know where. Okay.